Look at me, look at me.
We are here on behalf of our Prime Minister to let you know how we are going to deliver and are delivering his vision to make Fiji a knowledge-based society. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, our Prime Minister has, following his experience since 2006 as the Prime Minister of Fiji, is convinced that a stable and prosperous Fiji, where everyone can live happily together and grow together, can only be delivered if we have an educated society. A knowledge-based society is one where people rise above values of ethnicity, religion, race, and make decisions based on logic, reasoning, and thus his quest to deliver the future generation of Fiji a base of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, you will have noted that over the last 12 months, we've had massive discourse with regard to education sector. Never ever in the history of Fiji we had this level of interest on education in Fiji. We hear comments from public in public forums, in media, TV, radio, talkback shows, letter-to-editor columns. And I must say, we're very much impressed with the level of interest we see from the people of Fiji. Never ever before, this level of interest was there from people of Fiji with regard to our education in this country. And we're very impressed. Our colleagues in the Ministry of Education, we like this. We like this level of interrogation. We want to be interrogated. We want to be challenged. We are listening. We are reading your columns. And we are reading and hearing what you're saying. And that allows us to sharpen our heels, allows us to relook at what we're doing and how we can fine-tune what we're doing. Unlike what people are saying that we are reactive, we are not reactive. How is policies developed? Policies developed when we look at what we want, the kind of future we want, future Fiji we want, what our industries need, what our stakeholders need. Based on that we develop policies. Furthermore, we also develop policies based on the contemporary problems that we are facing, contemporary issues our children are facing, our parents are facing. And therefore, we look at existing policies, how that could be revised, or new policies could be introduced. It's not really what people are terming as reactive. That's not true. It is actually proactive. Ladies and gentlemen, we want quality education. There's massive amount of money that our government is spending in education. We want to ensure that this money that our government is spending on education, the product that we deliver out of our primary schools, our secondary schools and universities, this product is second to none. Our children now are competing in the global labor market. Our children now, out of our secondary schools and universities, are competing in the local labor market amongst people from the international arena. And there's no room for providing second or substandard product to our children. It is in this regard that we're continuously challenging and interrogating our own education system. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in custody of our primary schools, our secondary schools, and to some extent, our universities as well. It is our responsibility to question our own product continuously because things are changing, markets are changing, new problems are being faced by our students, our parents and stakeholders. The global market is changing. In this regard, we need to continuously examine our existing product and see what needs to be changed. Similarly, we need to also question the products that is coming out of the university. And we're doing that. The first thing is to see whether our own employees, our own staff, what is relevant to them, what qualifications are relevant to them. That is number one. What we want our teachers to be is or are subject matter specialists. We want our HOD science to have BSc science and if possible MSc in science. We want our history and geography teachers to have a BA in history and geography, and if they want to upgrade their qualification, it should be MA in history or geography. These are relevant qualifications. Taking qualifications just for the sake of having a post-graduate qualification in other areas doesn't add on to the stock of knowledge that the particular person has or is required to have in his or her subject area. If the person is preparing himself or herself for a secondary labor market, that's perfectly fine with us. But if they are wanting to use that qualification to come to us and ask for a salary rise or promotion, then it has to be relevant to that particular person's JD. Ladies and gentlemen, we also are questioning some of the qualifications that are being offered or provided by tertiary institutions in terms of its quality. I know some institutions are arguing that they've got a rigorous system to examine the particular product. These are, and I argue, input-based system. The ultimate arbiter of the quality of product is the employer. The final output quality is determined by the employer, not an input-based system of examining the process that leads to the delivery of the product. That is not the final mechanism through which you test the quality of the product. The final test of the quality of the product is the performance of that particular product in the market, and the judge is the employer. And we are judging our staff in terms of their performance based on the qualification that they have derived and the performance on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, these schools, the Annesley Infant School is a school constructed and developed by a faith-based group. Fiji is a unique education model where various faith-based groups and members of the community have sacrificed their income, time and resources to construct schools throughout Fiji so that their children and future generations are not deprived of education. It's a unique model. I must thank all the faith-based groups in Fiji. Methodist Church is one of those. The Sangam group, the Muslim League, the Catholic group, the Arya Samaj, the Sanatan Dharam, all of them have made a tremendous contribution to Fiji's education system by constructing schools at a time where government was struggling to establish schools throughout Fiji. This amazing contribution that community groups and faith-based organizations have done in terms of ensuring that while our forefathers, they were not able to have education because schools were not present, they ensured that their children, their grandchildren, and future generations are not deprived of having education. This school was constructed in 1940, some 75 years ago. And imagine the vision those leaders had at that particular time in terms of the importance of education in securing a stable, prosperous, and peaceful future of their children and grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give special thanks to the Methodist Church and its members and the forefathers who established, particularly the education wing, in terms of the vision for education of the children. And a unique aspect of all these schools in Fiji is that while it's established by a particular faith-based group, be it Catholic or Methodist or Muslim League, their doors are open to children of any religious belief. Any children from any ethnic group or any religious belief can come and study in these schools. Thank you very much. This is a true demonstration of the values of the particular belief system. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that while these schools were constructed by these faith-based groups of community leaders throughout Fiji in that particular era, we have fallen short in terms of taking over the schools and contributing towards upkeep and maintenance of the schools over the last 4 or 5 decades. No longer will this happen. The Bainimarama government is determined that from now onwards, we will, through the free education grants, contribute towards the upkeep and maintenance of the schools. In addition, we also are now actively looking at a 4-year plan where we will contribute towards capital improvements and new classroom, library block, ablution block, computer lab construction in interior and maritime schools, and we have started that. It's a 4-year program, part of the Pillar 3 of our reforms that we undertake in the Ministry of Education, where we want to ensure that the quality of infrastructure among schools in urban, rural and maritime is same. We want the child in the remotest part of Fiji to have the same quality of infrastructure in the school system, would be primary or secondary, as a child here in urban Suva, or urban Lendu, urban Latuka, or urban Mombasa, they say. It'll take us time. And we're looking at 4 years. 1 year is gone. And this year, the amount of money Ministry of Education has spent in capital construction, never before. Never before. Just yesterday, our team from Ministry, we visited Wanimala Secondary School, some 2.5 hours drive from here, right in the interior of Vikalemu. And we met the heads of about 7 schools, most of them primary school. And we made allocations for improvement, capital improvements this year. And come January, we will have in some schools new ablution block, some schools dining halls, some schools dormitories, and some schools renovation work to be carried out, and some schools new quarters. For rural schools, it's very critical and important that we have or provide quarters so that we attract teachers to go and stay there and contribute to teaching in those schools. Ladies and gentlemen, some of these obvious anomalies have been ignored over the last 4 decades, and no longer will that happen. This is the commitment from the Bainimarama government. Ladies and gentlemen, going forward, we are looking forward to introducing major reforms, major new strategies next year to deal with some of the problems that we are facing, as well as to bring in some of the changes in the delivery of education system so that our children are at par with the technological changes happening globally. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenges facing our children now was faced never before. This through our exposition to the IT revolution. While there's enormous benefit that we can derive from the IT revolution, we also need to protect our children from the unfettered and untested information out there in the social media. Our children are under enormous pressure. Some 4 decades ago, they did not have access to TV. They did not have access to social media platforms such as Facebook, text messages, internet. Now the children are being challenged and are being subjected to all kinds of information which can divert them away from the core business of learning. Hence, they need to be mentored, they need to be guided, they need to be supervised. They are at a very vulnerable and critical age. At this age, from 5 to 18, they are hungry for knowledge. They're thirsty for knowledge. They have a curious mind. Any information, anything that anyone will tell, they will take it. They will grab it. Hence, we need to filter the information. We need to guard against what kind of information our children are being fed with. Hence, we need to open up. Our parents need to open up. Our teachers need to open up. Guardians need to open up. Leaders of the faith-based groups have to open up and to openly talk to children about some of these issues that we were seeing as a taboo some 2-3 decades ago. Gone are those days when we were saying that we will restrict the kinds of information or the discourse that we will have of our children. Hence, we are asking that our parents play a very active role in the growth and development of the children by spending little amount of quality time at home every evening. Know about your child. Know about what your child is doing, whom your child is talking to, whom your child is connected to via various social media platforms. It is very important that you know fully about your child. There's no harm in asking who your child's friends are in classroom, who are that your child interacting with, whom your child is talking to you when commuting between the school and home. It's important that you know, you have full information. Your child might resist, but interrogate and find out. Talk to your child, spend some quality with your child. It will make amazing difference in terms of raising your child. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few words, it's my pleasure to officially open the library block and the computer room, as well as the 1x2 classroom that the school has constructed using a YPG grant.
Children, the day is past. Yes.